state-centric and confined to the military and bureaucratic establishment. That means it was the search for security ultimately ended in the state, and this search for security has defined the concept of security. And security in the traditional sense was mostly militaristic, that a state is always equipped or is always equipped with or remains always in a state of preparedness to meet any kind of extraordinary or exceptional or untoward threats to the existence of the state. Because in the traditional concept, a state always considers the other as the security threat, and the other means the other states. So that means the relation between state and state was a relation of endemic aggressiveness or endemic conflict. So the state remains secure only so far as it has kept itself distanced away from the other states. So security was a kind of distancing, spatial distancing, or it is a kind of walling the other against itself, so that the others cannot pose any kind of threat to the states. So this was the kind of realistic and neo-realistic understanding and conceptualization of security that dominates still till today and has become the today. No state has escaped itself from being influenced by the realistic and neo-realistic paradigm of security. Security means a state must be militarily prepared, because the internal system is anarchic in the sense that there is no centralized world government or world state which can owe to itself the responsibility of giving protection to the states. So in this kind of anarchical international system, because if a state remains in danger, or if a state remains threatened by the other states, a state cannot dial a world number by which the world police or world military force would come to the rescue of the state. For example, if an individual is threatened by another individual, or if an individual falls into danger, then that individual can dial up the police helpline so that the police can come to the help. And this kind of, if states are like individuals in the international system, the states cannot dial up the world police number by which the world police will come to help the states. This kind of situation has put these states in a self-help situation. Then who will give protection to the states? Because the state can give protection to the individuals, or the state can give protection to all those who are living within the precinct of the state, within the territorial sovereign boundaries of the states. But who will give protection to the state when the international system is anarchical, characterized by absence of any centralizing authority? Then the states are put to themselves. The states are to depend on their own selves. This is a self-help situation. So the state's responsibility is to give protection to its territorial boundary and to its people by the military force only. Because the capability of the state, the power of the state is to be understood in military terms. That means a state has to prepare itself in relation to the preparedness of other states. That's why all these texts today are on military showdowns. All these states are trying to become nuclear powers. All these states want to be in possession of weapons of mass destruction, because all these states are in a security dilemma. Because how much security is enough, as Hobbes said in his work, how much power is needed to protect that power itself. An individual has power, but to secure that power, an individual needs more power. That's why he said, the search for power ends in death only. Because the innate desire for power is so driving that only it is results in death. Similarly, if we apply to international politics, because Hobbesian, all the international politics is Hobbesian state of nature, where there is no state, where there is no centralizing authority. So in that state only, the security is to be provided by the state itself, by military force. So during the Cold War, you will find both the Soviet Union and the America were busy stockpiling nuclear and conventional arms and weapons. The entire Cold War period was devoted to stockpiling, producing both conventional and nuclear armaments and ammunition to outbid the other. Because how much power is necessary, America cannot know how much is necessary to protect itself against China. How much power today is necessary to protect itself against the rise of Russia and China or India. That's why a state always remains in search for, it remains busy acquiring power and power. This is realism and neorealism understanding of security. And the states are so much busy during the Cold War, you find it. Stockpiling, producing nuclear weapons and weapons of mass destruction to protect their interests, to protect their territorial sovereignty, and to define the world. What it is to be decided by the one war. Same final Cold War, the world is no longer a unipolar world. The world is no longer a bipolar world. The world has transformed itself into a multilateral world where there has been emergence like many nuclear powers like India, China, South Africa, Brazil, Argentina, so many powers have become nuclear powers. So this has become a multilateral world. But till today you find we have been so much obsessed with, the states have become so much obsessed with, preoccupied with military power. They think that A state is a threat to the B, or B state is a threat to A, or C is a threat to A and B. So you find these states are only conceived as enemies, as foes, as becoming threats to the existence of a state. So the entire system is no longer conceived as a system in which all the states are friends, or all the states are becoming the members of a universal family or a world family. You may speak of globalization. We may speak of the loss of boundaries, or we may say that the world has become a village world, or it is a global village. But in reality, the states are still concerned with the protection of their territorial sovereignty. Still nationalism is remaining an important security in becoming this holding of realism and realism while defining what security is. It is only through military means. In 1962, there was a Cuttack crisis. Soviet Union and America were on the verge of an equal war. But at that time also, there was publication of a book like The Silent Spring. And in that book, it was mentioned about the threats to human beings of the entire world through pollution, through use of fertilizers in agriculture, through use of weedicides. That such a kind of use of chemicals in agriculture can be disastrous for the living of human beings on this earth. But nobody could consider in 1962 at that time that threat can come to the human beings from other sources also. So this you find today that in 1970s and 80s, towards the end of the Cold War, when the Cold War was coming closer to its own extinction, then things appeared on this world in such a way which was unimaginative, which was not foreseen even by the scientists. Because science and technology, when applied to the military, becomes the most dangerous. And because the political scientists, the statesmen, and the states put trust in the ability and technology to change the human life or to provide a better way of life. The heavenly city can be brought down to the earthly city. That means there could be a materialistic transformation of human life through application of science and technology, so that the earthly city can be immediately transferred into a heavenly city. This was the idea. There was industrialization, there was there was destruction of the environment, everything took place. But at that time, when in such a manner the science and technology was applied, that the earth was considered as nothing but a heap of a cornucopia of resources, material resources, nothing else. As you say that a mother, earth is mother. Today the Hindus or the religious people, spiritual people all over the world worship the state, worship the earth as a mother. Because from the mother we get everything. But science transformed this way of thinking, that this earth is not mother, this earth is a heap, is a material heap of resources. It can be exploited, it can be expended, just for the materialistic pleasure and materialistic way of life. But at that time, this kind of development was based on a Newtonian science, that the earth is nothing but matter. But at that time, the scientists were unaware of this kind of thinking has grave disastrous for the entire humanity after 300 years. You see, this industrialization took place in 16th century and 17th century. But what happened after 300 years? Its effects were highly felt, because the emission of carbon dioxide, the pollution, everything, they can have its effects only after 300 years, because they took time. Gestation period is taken by them to prove fatal or dangerous to the human living. So then you find how there has been a change in the security thinking. Because in the traditional security thinking, the state is the source, the state is the subject of security, the state is the agency of the security, the state is to define what security is. Even the people who are affected by security, they cannot define what is security is. It is the state which can define what is the security threat. And you see, after 80s, you find there was an intellectual cluttering, intellectual fermentation in the world about this kind of traditional and conventional understanding of security ingrained in the state and its sovereignty. That the source of security threat is no longer the state. Because it was thought that source of security threat and state is the provider of security. It is both the provider, it is both the security threat. It was the source. But now in the 80s, when there was a great change in the climate change, then you find security, the source of security threat changed. That it is no longer state which is the security threat, it is the environment itself. It is the environment degradation. It is the human interference into the nature, into the space of the nature. It is the imperialistic attitude of human beings to have plundering on the nature. Because in this creation, God has given to everybody, to human beings, to nature, to society, to the world, to all civilizations, specific spaces. and the development takes place within that space. And whenever there has been any encroachment on this space, it is considered. So in that sense, you find that the source of security threat was identified. The location, the loci of security threat was changed from state to non-state, to the environment, to the climate change. All know there is no need of any description. There is no need of any vivid discussion on the environmental degradation or any climate change and its devastating consequences upon the living of human beings, living of non-human beings also. Because the threat to non-human beings is also a threat to human lives. And the threat to human life is also a threat to non-living human beings. The entire world, the materialistic world and the non-materialistic world, the living human interference into the spaces given to, allotted to each human being, to each nature, to each non-material being, to each non-human living being. So this and gradually the things became clear. What was apparent now has become clear. What was that climate change environment was considered another social threat. You see, another, you find out that within this cyberspace, you can say, this